Good morning. How are you all? I hope you're all well. Well, what do you reckon to this place behind me? I'm parked up this week in Thetford, and this is Thetford Priory. Isn't this place enormous? Look at the size of that arch above my head. This place would have been huge. So yeah, I'm going to have a little walk around Thetford with you. I'm going to show you a little bit of the scenery and a few of the sights. And yeah, we'll have a look around Thetford this week and see how we get on. Right then. See you in a bit. Bye. Right, we'll go for a little walk by the river and I'll give you a little bit of the history of Thetford. Thetford, like a lot of this area, can trace its history all the way back to the Stone Age, through the Iron Age and the Bronze Age. By the mid-800s, those good old Vikings had arrived and they were causing trouble. The Anglo-Saxon chronicles state that the last battle of King Edmund took place in Thetford in 869, although the exact place of this battle, or even if it was the place where Edmund died, is not really known for certain. In Saxon times, Thetford was the capital of East Anglia, when East Anglia was a kingdom in its own right. It was a huge town, all kinds of crafts and potteries, and even had its own minting coin of the realm, although eventually Bury St Edmunds took over this title and became capital instead. Around this time as well, Thetford had a very large priory and an extremely large motte and bailey castle, but I'll talk about those in just a little bit. Everywhere you turn in Thetford there's history, from, like I say, Stone Age, prehistoric times, right through to the modern day. Far more history than I can do justice to in this short video. It's really worth a good look round Thetford. It's a lovely town. There's, like I say, loads of historic old buildings and all sorts here. This is a beautiful walk by the river as well. You can walk for miles along the river. It flows right through the middle of Thetford and it's beautiful. Well worth a walk, as you can hear the geese honking and all sorts along here. It's lovely. This is Castle Hill in Thetford. Castle Hill is the second highest man-made earthworks in Britain at 80 feet high. It's only beaten by Silbury Hill in Avebury, which is only 18 feet higher than this and is the highest man-made earth mound in the whole of Europe. So Castle Hill's no small place. What's incredible is that the ditches here and all the earthworks and mounds were dug out by hand with wooden spades. Can you imagine that? What a job that would have been. Castle Hill was the site of a 12th century, that's Middle Ages, motte and bailey castle, which replaced an earlier castle called Redcastle that was elsewhere in the town. The castle was built by Roger Bigod, a Norman knight who'd come over here during the Norman conquest and by this time was in control of the whole of Thetford. We'll hear a bit more about him in a little while, because he built a little priory in Thetford as well while he was at it. The castle would have consisted of a wooden keep on the top of that hill, with a walled-in bailey courtyard around it that was probably about 350 by 300 feet. That's no small undertaking. Although the site is a listed monument, you've got access to most of it and you can wander around all over the place. There are sheep and things about though, so please keep your dog on a lead if it's walking about so that you don't disturb the sheep. Castle Hill in Thetford. Can you see that? I don't know if this camera shot does it justice. That's 101 steps and it's 80 feet tall. You're coming with me. I might have to speed this up a bit. That could take me a little while. Let's see if we get up there all right. Here we go. Oh, my word, we must be mad. Oh, there's lots of signs up here about don't climb it in thunderstorms. thunderstorms. Oh my god. Oh, can you hear my knees crunching? Oh, it's a good idea this, isn't it? Oh, 101 steps. Does it look steep? Halfway. Knees are holding out. We're alright. Knees are holding out. Keep going, boy. You'll be alright. Oh, feeling it now. Feeling it now. I apologise for the puffing. I'm not exactly an athlete. Oh. 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 Done it. Worn out, but did it. And the views are stunning. Oh. That was hard work. Back in a minute. That'll give you an idea just how steep them steps are, look. That is an amazing view of the town and all around the surrounding area from up here. You've literally got a 360-degree panoramic view, look, all these houses down the bottom. You can understand from up here why you'd put the keep up on the top here. That'd be ever so easy to defend down there, because you could just fire arrows straight down on your enemies. They wouldn't stand a chance, would they? There's the steps again, look boy. I reckon last time we got down from here together. Getting down's a bit quicker than getting up. I might have sped this up a little bit. Right, we're moving on now to the Priory at Thetford. The Priory, or to give it its full title, the Priory of Our Lady of Thetford, was commissioned in 1103 by Roger Bigode. Remember that chap? He built the castle as well. He was a busy chap, wasn't he? Obviously into a bit of DIY. The Priory was affiliated to a great Benedictine abbey at Cluny in France and was built on a magnificent scale. By 1114 the work was sufficiently complete that the monks could move in. The site included a church, dorm rooms, stables and barns and all the things you needed for monks to live, and was enclosed in a wall with a gatehouse for entry. By the 13th century the site had become home to the statue of the Virgin Mary that apparently could perform miracles, which brought in a considerable financial reward to the priory. Unfortunately, this all came to an end by the middle of the 15th century with the dissolution of the monasteries, and despite a petition from the 3rd Duke of Norfolk, who owned the site by then, to Henry VIII, in February of 1540 the last of the monks surrendered to the King's Commission, and I'm afraid that was the end of Thetford Priory. The dormitories and lodgings were still used, but I'm afraid by the 1820s they'd fallen into disrepair and ruin, as by then was the entire site. Nowadays, Thetford Priory is a Grade 1 listed building, and it's owned and run, of course, by English Heritage. Thetford Priory. One of the things Thetford Priory is famous for, apparently it is haunted. There is a monk who wanders here chanting, wearing a black robe in the dead of night, apparently. Can't say as I've seen him myself, but you never know. If you come here, you just might see him. Right, we're going to move on again. As you can see from this footage, look, Thetford's still got quite a nice town centre. There's a few closed shops, I'm afraid, and quite a lot of barber shops and takeaways, but there's still some nice shops and Costa Coffee and WH Smith and clothes shops and all sorts of things down here, so it's still quite a nice high street. You will excuse, that was a bit windy on here and I'd only got the camera mic. As we walk down the high street, we've got Lloyd's Bank here on the left, and then up in front of us you're going to see a gold statue. He's a very famous chap that was born here in Thetford. Of course, that's Thomas Paine. This is the large gilded statue dedicated to Thomas Paine. It's outside the King's House, that's the big building you can see in the back, in King Street in Thetford. The statue was designed by the sculptor Charles Wheeler and was put up in 1964 to commemorate Thomas Paine. Right, let's do a little bit of history of Thomas Paine then, shall we? Thomas Paine was born in Thetford on January the 29th, 1737. He attended Thetford Grammar School between the years of 1744 and 1749. In his adult life, he became a political activist, a philosopher, a writer, and a revolutionary. He authored several important philosophical works, including Common Sense, The Rights of Man, and The Age of Reason. In 1774, Thomas Paine moved to America, barely surviving the voyage there. While there, he advocated for American independence. He later did return to England, although he continued to support the American cause. He then moved to France, and he became involved in the French Revolution. He was eventually elected to the French National Convention. Unfortunately, though, he was arrested in France for his views on religion, and while in prison he wrote The Age of Reason, a critique on organised religion. He did return to America in 1802, where he eventually passed away in 1809 in New York. I'm afraid his funeral was only attended by 6 people due to his controversial views on both religion and his critique of current political figures. His body was initially buried on his farm in New Rochdale, New York, after the local Quakers refused to bury him in their cemetery due to concerns over his controversial views. Some years after his death, Thomas Paine's remains were exhumed by William Cobbett, who is a British journalist and Paine admirer, with the intention of returning Paine's remains to England to give him a more fitting memorial, but Cobbett's efforts were unsuccessful, and eventually Paine's remains were either lost or scattered, I'm afraid. I'm sure there's a moral in that story somewhere about not upsetting too many people in your life, but there you are. Oh, hi, John, mate. Wow, it's a job to come to Thetford and not take notice of this smart-looking chap sat on the bench. Of course, this is Captain Mannering, and the reason he sat here is because one of the things that Thetford is famous for in its recent history is that back in the 70s there was a brilliant series called Dad's Army. And of course, Captain Mannering was in that, and most of it was filmed around here in Thetford. Yeah, the opening sequence on Thetford Battleground and the Guildhall was used, and several of the streets were used in it for Warlington-on-Sea, I believe it was called. So yeah, a little bit of local history. Go and get your photograph taken with this guy. Say cheese.
This is the Dad's Army Museum in the town. It's a museum to commemorate the filming of the series, because unfortunately not all the places are there anymore. As you can see, look, there's some beautiful murals painted on the side as well, and another one just a little further down. There's several of these all around the town, and they're worth looking out for. There's the guys all together, look. They filmed all that bit at the Thetford Battleground there, just off on the A11. Here's a bit more of a close-up of some of the paintings, look. They really are good. Yeah, they're on some of the buildings there, and then here's dear old Captain Mannering himself, look.
What's Thetford like for van life? Well, it's pretty good actually. It's not bad here in Thetford. Lots of car parks, which at the time of recording this are still free. Loads of amenities, public loos and other bits and pieces around as well. So yeah, it's not bad. A couple of big supermarkets and lots of shops and things on the high street. So it's not bad. It's not bad for van life. Usual thing, don't outstay your welcome, tidy up behind yourself. Nobody will take much notice of you for van in Thetford, I promise you. Right then, from the top of Castle Hill in Thetford, that'll do my little whistle-stop tour of Thetford for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something interesting in it. I'm absolutely done in. That's high up here, I tell you. 80 feet up, they tell me. I'm from East Anglia, where it's flat. I ain't used to being this high off the ground. That's a bit sort of scary. Yeah, it's thin up here. Anyways, all the usual things. Tap the little buttons down the bottom. Give us a like and subscribe. I'd love it if you did. It helps the channel along. And yeah, leave me a comment down below. I do read them all, I promise you. And I'll reply to them if you put them down there for me. Where would you like me to go next? Was this video any good? Let me know down there. Now I've got to head all the way back down there, look. Oh, my word. I must be mad. The things I do for you lovely people out there in YouTube world. Right then, we will speak to you later. See you later. You all take care now. Bye.
And don't forget, park safe, park legal, and don't park on the boy. I'll be seeing you about together. You take care now. Bye.